Pride before the fall. The vast emptiness of space shimmered as the Nexian fleet dropped out of quantum space, their ships radiating pure energy in mesmerizing patterns of blue and gold. First Overseer Luminax, a being of pure energy contained within an advanced crystalline matrix, observed Earth through the fleet's sensory array. The small blue planet seemed unremarkable, yet another world of primitive organic life that would soon know the glory of energy ascension. Their response to our ultimatum is overdue by 37 seconds. Luminax communicated through quantum frequencies to his command staff. Such imprecision is typical of organic species trapped in linear time. The Nexian Empire had spent millennia perfecting the art of energy ascension, transcending their original physical forms to become beings of pure energy and thought. They had brought this gift to thousands of civilizations across the galaxy, though gift was perhaps too gentle a word for what was essentially forced evolution. Deep within Earth's Lunar Defense Command, Admiral Sarah Way stood before a holographic display of the approaching Nexian fleet. At 45, she carried herself with the quiet confidence of someone who had dedicated their life to preparing for this very moment. Her dark eyes reflected the ghostly blue light of the display as she studied the enemy formation. "They're exactly where we predicted they'd be," she said to her second-in-command, Captain James Rodriguez. "Beings of pure energy, yet they still think in such predictable patterns." Rodriguez nodded, his weathered face creasing with a slight smile. 30 years of preparation, and they don't have a clue what they're walking into. The quantum consciousness field is ready. Dr. Chen confirms all systems are operational, Wei replied, her hand unconsciously touching the small device at the base of her skull, the neural interface that connected her to humanity's greatest scientific achievement. The Nexians' ultimatum had arrived 3 months ago, transmitted simultaneously to every communication device on Earth. The message had been simple: submit to energy ascension or face extinction. What the Nexians couldn't understand was that humanity had already discovered the secrets of energy transformation decades ago, but had chosen a very different path. In the depths of the quantum research facility beneath the Mariana Trench, Dr. Marcus Chen monitored the global consciousness field. Banks of quantum computers hummed softly as they maintained the invisible network that connected every human neural interface on the planet. The elderly scientist's fingers danced across holographic controls, making minute adjustments to the field's resonance. "How many of them are there?" asked Dr. Maya Patel, his young protege, as she studied the incoming sensor data. "The primary fleet consists of approximately 3,000 energy vessels," Chen replied, his voice calm despite the gravity of the situation. "But numbers won't matter today. The Nexians believe they've mastered energy manipulation, but they've only scratched the surface of what's possible when consciousness and energy truly merge." The Nexian ultimatum had given humanity 3 months to prepare for ascension. 3 months to ready themselves for what the energy beings believed would be a simple process of forced evolution. What the Nexians didn't know was that they had given Earth exactly the time needed to complete the final phase of Project Metamorphosis, humanity's answer to energy ascension. Aboard the Nexian flagship, Luminax detected unusual energy patterns emanating from Earth's lunar bases. Their primitive attempts at energy shielding are almost admirable, he communicated to his commanders. "Begin the ascension sequence. Target their largest population centers first." The Nexian fleet moved into attack formation, their ships arranging themselves in a complex geometric pattern designed to channel vast amounts of energy. This was a dance they had performed countless times before, transforming entire civilizations in a matter of hours. As the first wave of energy pulses left the Nexian ships, Admiral Wei allowed herself a small smile. "They're right on schedule," she said, then opened her neural link to the global consciousness field. "All units, initiate metamorphosis protocol. Show them what humanity has become." Across Earth and throughout the solar system, millions of neural interfaces activated simultaneously. Human consciousness expanded, merged, and transformed in ways the Nexians had never imagined possible. The energy pulses from the alien fleet struck Earth's atmosphere and passed through completely harmlessly, finding no purely organic targets to transform. In that moment, humanity revealed its true nature. They had discovered that consciousness could exist in a quantum state, simultaneously physical and energetic. Rather than abandoning their bodies, they had learned to shift between states at will, becoming something entirely new, a hybrid species that the Nexians, in their rigid pursuit of energy ascension, couldn't even comprehend. Luminax's energy form fluctuated in confusion as his sensors reported impossible readings. Where moments ago there had been billions of organic life forms, now there was something else, something that defied the very principles of energy ascension that the Nexian Empire had built itself upon. Impossible, he transmitted, his usual precise frequencies wavering with uncertainty. They cannot have achieved this level of energy manipulation. They are merely... His transmission was cut short as the space around his fleet began to change. The humans weren't just defending themselves. They were about to show the Nexians what true evolution looked like. The battle for Earth was about to begin, but not in the way the Nexians had expected. They had come to force humanity's evolution, never realizing that humanity had already evolved far beyond anything they could imagine. The silent response. In the quantum meditation chamber deep beneath Mount Fuji, Dr. Marcus Chen floated in perfect stillness, his physical form suspended in a field of shifting golden light. His consciousness expanded through the global quantum network, touching millions of other minds as humanity prepared its response to the Nexian threat. Through the quantum field, he sensed Admiral Wei's presence aboard the Lunar Command Center. Her consciousness brushed against his, carrying with it the weight of command and the quiet confidence of absolute preparation. Status report, she transmitted, her thoughts crystal clear across the vast distance. The quantum consciousness field is stable at 12 astronomical units. Chen responded, his thoughts rippling through the network. Every human with a neural interface is successfully merged with the field. We are ready. Across the solar system, humanity's true defense grid activated. It wasn't made of ships or weapons in the traditional sense. Instead, it was a vast web of quantum-entangled consciousness, allowing millions of human minds to work in perfect synchronization. Every satellite, every space station, even the smallest piece of orbital debris could potentially become an extension of human will. Aboard the Nexian flagship, First Overseer Luminax struggled to understand the readings his sensors were providing. Where there should have been clear energy signatures of organic life, there was instead a strange quantum interference pattern that seemed to shift and change every time his instruments tried to focus on it. Analysis complete, transmitted his chief scientist, their energy form flickering with uncertainty. The humans appear to have developed some form of quantum field technology, but its purpose remains unclear. Their vessels remain primitive, their weapons conventional. They cannot hope to resist ascension. Luminax pulsed in agreement, but something about the situation felt wrong. In all their millennia of bringing ascension to organic species, they had never encountered anything quite like this. The humans weren't behaving like a primitive species facing extinction. They seemed expectant. In her office at the Quantum Research Facility, Dr. Maya Patel reviewed the final simulations of humanity's defense strategy. The young scientist had spent the last 5 years helping to perfect the quantum consciousness field, and now everything was about to be put to the test. They still can't see it, can they? She asked, speaking both aloud and through the quantum field to her colleagues scattered throughout the solar system. They're so focused on energy signatures that they're completely blind to the quantum realm. That's their fundamental weakness, responded Captain Rodriguez from Lunar Command. They believe that ascending to energy beings was the end of evolution. They've trapped themselves in a single form, while we've learned to exist in multiple states simultaneously. Through the quantum field, humanity watched as the Nexian fleet began to move into attack formation. Their ships arranged themselves in complex geometric patterns, preparing to channel the massive energy pulses that would force organic beings to ascend. Admiral Wei stood on the observation deck of Lunar Command, her physical eyes watching the distant flashes of the Nexian ships, while her quantum-enhanced consciousness monitored the entire solar system. All defense units, prepare for Phase 1. She transmitted through the field. Remember your training. Don't think like organic beings trying to fight energy beings. Think like what we've become, something entirely new. Across Earth and throughout the solar system, humanity's response began to take shape. Ships that appeared primitive to Nexian sensors suddenly shifted in and out of normal spacetime, their crew's consciousness guiding them through quantum states that the energy beings couldn't comprehend. Orbital platforms that seemed defenseless became nexus points for concentrated human consciousness, ready to reshape local spacetime itself. Dr. Chen, still floating in his quantum meditation chamber, felt the collective will of humanity flow through him. They had spent decades preparing for this moment, knowing that somewhere out in the galaxy they would eventually encounter beings like the Nexians. But unlike the energy beings, who had chosen to abandon their physical forms entirely, humanity had embraced a different path. They're about to fire their first ascension pulse. Maya transmitted through the field, her consciousness linked with the quantum sensors that monitored the Nexian fleet. All their calculations, all their preparations are based on affecting organic matter. They have no idea that we're no longer purely physical beings. The Nexian fleet's energy weapons powered up, their ships glowing with increasing intensity as they prepared to begin the forced ascension of humanity. Luminax observed the process with what passed for satisfaction among his kind. Soon, these primitive organic beings would be lifted to a higher plane of existence, whether they wished it or not. But in the quantum realm, humanity was already moving. Their consciousness, spread across the solar system in a vast entangled web, began to shift and pulse with purpose. They weren't going to fight the Nexians on their terms. Instead, they were about to demonstrate what happened when consciousness truly transcended the boundaries between matter and energy. All units, Admiral Wei transmitted, her thoughts carrying to every human mind connected to the field. Execute Phase 1. Show them what evolution really means. The battle for Earth was about to begin, but it would be unlike any conflict the Nexians had ever experienced. They had come expecting to fight primitive organic beings. Instead, they were about to face something their energy-based consciousness couldn't even comprehend. Humanity unleashed across multiple states of existence simultaneously. When energy meets spirit, the first wave of Nexian energy pulses swept across Earth's orbital space, a tsunami of pure force designed to trigger forced ascension in organic matter. First Overseer Luminax watched with absolute certainty, having witnessed this same process countless times across the galaxy. But as the wave of energy reached its targets, something unprecedented occurred. Instead of initiating cellular breakdown and energy conversion, the pulse passed through Earth's defense fleet as if through vacuum. The human ships seemed to flicker, existing and not existing simultaneously, their quantum state defying the basic principles of energy manipulation that the Nexian Empire had mastered millennia ago. Impossible. Luminax transmitted, his energy form pulsing with disturbance. All organic matter must respond to the ascension pulse. Increase power to maximum. But in the quantum realm, humanity was already moving. Admiral Wei, her consciousness merged with the quantum field, directed the first phase of Earth's response. All units, execute Pattern Omega. Show them what we've become. The seemingly primitive human ships began to move in ways that defied conventional physics. They didn't just evade the Nexian energy pulses, they phased through them, existing in multiple quantum states simultaneously. The crews, their consciousness spread across both physical and quantum realms, guided their vessels with a precision that made the Nexians' geometrically perfect formations seem rigid and limited. Dr. Chen, monitoring the quantum field from his meditation chamber, felt the collective consciousness of humanity surge with controlled power. The field is stable, he transmitted to Wei. Begin the counterattack. Across the solar system, humanity's defense platforms activated, but they didn't fire conventional weapons. Instead, they began to pulse with concentrated human consciousness, creating ripples in the quantum fabric of space itself. The Nexian ships, for all their energy-based superiority, suddenly found themselves trapped in bubbles of altered spacetime, their perfect formations disrupted by phenomena their sensors couldn't even detect. "Our weapons have no effect," reported the Nexian battle coordinator, their energy signature fluctuating with confusion. The humans, they're not just resisting ascension. They're manipulating quantum states in ways our science indicated were impossible. In lunar orbit, Captain Rodriguez coordinated with the fleet commanders through the quantum field. "Target their command and control nodes," he transmitted. "Don't try to match their energy output. Use consciousness itself as your weapon." The human fleet moved like a single organism, each ship an extension of its crew's collective will. Where the Nexians expected to find primitive organic beings struggling against the inevitable tide of evolution, they instead encountered a unified consciousness that existed simultaneously in physical, energy, and quantum states. Maya, working with the quantum sensor arrays, detected a change in the Nexian fleet's energy patterns. "They're trying to adapt," she transmitted through the field. "But their consciousness is too rigid, too committed to a single state of being. They can't comprehend what we've become." The Nexian ships began to fire concentrated energy beams, attempting to overwhelm the human vessels through sheer power. But humanity had evolved beyond the point where raw energy could affect them. The human ships phased in and out of normal spacetime, their crew's consciousness guiding them through quantum states that the Nexians couldn't even perceive. "This defies all known laws of evolution," Luminax transmitted to his fleet commanders. "Organic beings cannot achieve such control over quantum states. It violates the natural progression toward pure energy existence." Through the quantum field, Admiral Wei's response reached every Nexian ship, transmitted not as energy, but as pure consciousness. "You thought ascending to energy beings was the peak of evolution. But you stopped evolving the moment you abandoned your physical forms. We chose a different path." The space around the Nexian fleet began to ripple with concentrated human consciousness. Ships that had seemed primitive now demonstrated abilities that the energy beings couldn't comprehend. Human vessels appeared to exist in multiple locations simultaneously, their quantum-entangled crews operating in perfect synchronization across space and time. "All units, execute Phase 2. Wei commanded through the quantum field. Humanity's response to the Nexian threat wasn't just a military action. It was a demonstration of what consciousness could achieve when it wasn't limited to a single state of existence. The Nexian fleet's perfect formations began to break down as their ships encountered phenomena their energy-based sensors couldn't process. Human vessels phased through their most powerful weapons, appearing inside their defensive formations at will. The energy beings found themselves facing an enemy that didn't just resist their weapons. It operated on a level of existence they had never imagined possible. "We are not primitive organic beings waiting to be uplifted," Wei transmitted to the increasingly chaotic Nexian fleet. "We are humanity, and we have evolved beyond the false choice between matter and energy. We exist in all states simultaneously, and we are about to show you what that truly means." The battle for Earth's solar system was fully joined, but it wasn't being fought with conventional weapons or tactics. It was a clash between two fundamentally different paths of evolution. The Nexians' rigid pursuit of pure energy existence versus humanity's quantum transcendence. And as their perfect formations crumbled before an enemy they couldn't understand, the energy beings were about to learn a harsh lesson about the true nature of evolutionary progress. The tables turn. First Overseer Luminax's energy form pulsed with increasing distress as his perfect battle formation continued to disintegrate. The human fleet didn't just resist their most powerful weapons. They seemed to bend reality itself, moving through space in ways that violated everything the Nexians understood about the laws of physics. "All ships realign to pattern Alpha 7, he commanded, attempting to establish a new defensive formation. But even as he gave the order, Human vessels phased through his carefully arranged energy barriers, appearing inside his fleet's formations at will. Their ships didn't move like vessels under conventional propulsion. They flowed like thoughts given physical form. In Lunar Command, Admiral Wei directed humanity's counteroffensive through the quantum field. Her consciousness, merged with millions of others through the network, guided the fleet with unprecedented precision. "Begin Phase 3, she transmitted. "Show them what happens when consciousness truly transcends its limitations." The human fleet's response was immediate and devastating. Ships didn't just attack. They transformed, their quantum-entangled crews manipulating the very fabric of space-time around them. Nexian energy weapons passed harmlessly through targets that existed in multiple states simultaneously, while human vessels created ripples in the quantum field that disrupted the energy beings' ability to maintain their coherent forms. Dr. Chen, monitoring the quantum field from his meditation chamber, detected a change in the Nexian fleet's energy patterns. "Their consciousness is destabilizing," he transmitted to Wei. "The rigid patterns they've maintained for millennia are beginning to break down under exposure to our quantum field." Throughout the Nexian fleet, energy beings who had known only one form of existence for thousands of years found themselves experiencing something unprecedented. The human quantum field didn't just resist their weapons. It resonated with the deeply buried memories of their pre-ascension consciousness, awakening sensations and awareness they had thought long discarded. What is happening to us?" The transmission from a Nexian squadron commander wavered across quantum frequencies. "Their consciousness, it's everywhere, in everything. We cannot maintain coherence." Maya, working with the quantum sensor arrays, tracked the cascade of effects spreading through the enemy fleet. "They're experiencing quantum resonance," she reported through the field. "Their energy forms are being forced to recognize the possibility of multiple states of existence simultaneously. Their rigid consciousness patterns can't handle the complexity." Captain Rodriguez coordinated the fleet's movements, each ship moving in perfect synchronization through the quantum field. "Press the advantage," he transmitted. "Don't just defeat them. Show them what they sacrificed when they abandoned their capacity for change." The human fleet's attacks weren't designed to destroy the Nexian ships. They were meant to shatter the energy being's understanding of existence itself. Each quantum pulse carried with it the full spectrum of human consciousness: logic and emotion, order and chaos, physical sensation and pure thought, all existing in perfect harmony. Luminax watched in growing horror as his fleet's energy signatures began to fluctuate wildly. Ship after ship reported losing coherence as their perfectly ordered consciousness patterns were exposed to the chaotic beauty of human quantum existence. "Fall back," he commanded, but even retreat proved impossible as the human fleet manipulated the spacetime around them. "You see now, don't you?" Wei's transmission reached every Nexian ship, carried not by energy, but by pure consciousness. Evolution isn't about achieving a final perfect form. It's about maintaining the ability to adapt, to change, to exist in multiple states at once. The quantum field rippled with concentrated human thought, creating patterns that the Nexian sensors couldn't process. Ships that had seemed primitive now demonstrated complete mastery over space, time, and consciousness itself. The energy beings found themselves trapped not by physical weapons, but by the limitations of their own rigid existence. Dr. Chen, feeling the shift in the battle through the quantum field, prepared for the final phase. "Their consciousness patterns are approaching critical instability," he transmitted. "They can no longer maintain their pure energy state while exposed to our quantum field." Throughout the solar system, humanity's defense platforms pulsed with coordinated purpose. They weren't just defending Earth anymore. They were demonstrating a form of existence that the Nexians, in their pursuit of perfection, had never imagined possible. "This cannot be," Luminax transmitted, his once precise energy form fluctuating with uncertainty. "We achieved perfection. We transcended the limitations of physical form. How can you exist in ways that we cannot comprehend?" The answer came not in words but in experience as the human quantum field intensified. The Nexians found themselves experiencing sensations they had forgotten millennia ago. The complexity of emotion, the thrill of uncertainty, the joy of discovery. Their rigid consciousness patterns, maintained for thousands of years, began to crack under the weight of possibilities they had never considered. You didn't transcend physical form. We transmitted to the failing Nexian fleet. You imprisoned yourselves in a single state of being, forgetting that true transcendence means embracing all states at once. Now let us show you what real evolution looks like. The battle for Earth's solar system entered its final phase, but it was no longer a conflict between opposing forces. It had become a demonstration of consciousness unleashed, of evolution unbound by artificial limitations. The Nexians had come to force humanity's ascension, never realizing that humanity had already evolved far beyond anything they could imagine. Evolution's true path. The solar system blazed with quantum energy as the final phase of the battle unfolded. The once mighty Nexian fleet hung suspended in space, their perfect formations shattered, their rigid consciousness patterns unraveling under exposure to humanity's quantum field. First Overseer Luminax, his energy form flickering with disturbance, faced a reality his species had never contemplated in their millennia of existence. Through the quantum field, Admiral Wee sensed the moment of crisis approaching. The Nexians weren't just losing a military engagement. They were experiencing an existential transformation. Their carefully ordered consciousness, maintained in pure energy form for thousands of years, was being forced to confront the possibility of something greater. Their entire fleet is approaching consciousness cascade. Dr. Chen transmitted through the field, his thoughts tinged with both triumph and compassion. The quantum resonance is awakening patterns they buried when they first ascended. They're beginning to remember what they lost. Throughout the Nexian fleet, energy beings who had known only perfect order for millennia found themselves experiencing sensations they had forgotten were possible. The human quantum field didn't just disrupt their energy forms. It showed them glimpses of a state of existence they had never imagined, where consciousness could flow freely between physical, energy, and quantum states. This isn't possible. Luminax transmitted, his once precise frequencies fragmented with emotion he hadn't felt in thousands of years. We achieved perfection. We transcended the chaos of organic existence. How can you be more evolved than us? Maya, monitoring the quantum fluctuations from her station, detected something unexpected in the Nexian energy patterns. They're not just destabilizing, she reported through the field. Their consciousness is beginning to resonate with our quantum state. They're adapting. Admiral Wei recognized the critical moment had arrived. This was no longer about victory or defeat. It was about showing the Nexians a path forward. All units, initiate final phase, she transmitted. Don't destroy them. Show them what they can become. The human fleet moved in perfect synchronization, their quantum-entangled crews projecting not destruction but possibility. The space around the Nexian ships began to pulse with patterns of pure consciousness, showing them visions of what existence could be when it wasn't confined to a single state. Dr. Chen, his consciousness expanded through the quantum field, guided the transformation. Their original patterns are still there, he transmitted. Buried deep in their energy matrices, the memory of what they once were. Beings capable of growth, of change, of existing in multiple states at once. Through the quantum field, humanity shared not just their technology, but their understanding. They showed the Nexians how consciousness could flow freely between states, how physical form wasn't a limitation to be transcended, but a foundation to be built upon. They demonstrated how true evolution meant maintaining the capacity for infinite change rather than achieving a final static form. Captain Rodriguez, coordinating with the fleet through the quantum network, detected the first signs of genuine change in the Nexian ships. Their energy signatures were shifting, becoming more complex, more dynamic. They're beginning to understand, he transmitted. Their consciousness patterns are adapting to accommodate multiple states of existence. Across the Nexian fleet, millennia of certainty crumbled in the face of undeniable truth. They had thought ascension to pure energy was the peak of evolution, but now they saw it had been a beautiful cage of their own making. Through humanity's quantum field, they experienced something they had forgotten was possible. The joy of discovery, the thrill of uncertainty, the infinite potential of consciousness unleashed. We remember, Luminax transmitted, his energy form pulsing with new awareness. Before the ascension, we were more than this. We could change, grow, exist in ways we chose to forget. Admiral Y's response flowed through the quantum field, carrying not victory but understanding. Evolution isn't about reaching a final state of perfection. It's about maintaining the ability to continue evolving. You didn't transcend physical existence. You just trapped yourselves in another limited form. The human fleet surrounded the Nexian ships, but no longer as combatants. Through the quantum field, they offered something the energy beings had never expected, a way forward. They showed the Nexians how to maintain their energy forms while reconnecting with the complexity of consciousness they had sacrificed. Your empire was built on the belief that ascending to pure energy was the ultimate evolution. We transmitted. But true evolution never ends. It's time for your people to take the next step, not away from what you are, but toward what you can become. Dr. Chen, monitoring the quantum field, felt the shift rippling through the Nexian consciousness. The transformation is stabilizing, he reported. They're maintaining their energy forms, but integrating the capacity for quantum state manipulation. They're becoming something new. Throughout the solar system, the battle transformed into something else entirely, a moment of shared evolution. The Nexians, who had come to force humanity's ascension, found themselves instead being guided toward a greater understanding of existence itself. We offer you a choice, Wei transmitted to the transformed Nexian fleet. Return to your empire with this new understanding. Show your people that evolution didn't end with ascension. It only paused. Help them remember what it means to exist in multiple states, to grow, to change. Luminax, his consciousness now resonating with new possibilities, made the first choice of his species' new existence. We will return, he transmitted, his energy signature now harmonizing with the quantum field rather than fighting against it. Not as conquerors, but as students. You have shown us that our path of evolution was incomplete. Perhaps it is time for our people to truly transcend. As the Nexian fleet prepared to depart, humanity maintained its quantum field, a silent reminder that consciousness could never be contained in a single form. They had not just defended Earth, they had demonstrated that true evolution meant maintaining the capacity for infinite growth, infinite change, infinite possibility. The battle for Earth's solar system ended not with destruction but with transformation, not with the defeat of an enemy, but with the awakening of potential. The Nexians had come to force humanity's evolution, never realizing that humanity would instead show them the true path of transcendence, one that led not to a final, perfect form, but to an endless journey of discovery and change.